Hello, how are you? There you go.
Hi,
There
Evan.
you are.
Hi, Bablu.
Good, how are you? Hello.
Hi guys,
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Aman?
Great, great. Nice seeing you as all. Is anybody else joining us?
Yeah, I think Simi and Kenny were supposed to. Let me
Are you
just
guys
check
able
in.
to hear me?
Yeah, we can
Yeah,
hear you.
yeah.
Oh, I can't hear you guys. I guess. I'm not on mute. Yeah, I can't hear you guys.
Can you hear me?
Oh, now I can hear you.
Okay.
Hi. Hi. While the others are joining, thanks, Evan, so much for this time again.
No, no worries at all. No worries. Thank you for
You're
having
at
me.
the office, huh?
Yeah, I'm at the office.
Let me introduce to you my cousin. That's my Mamaji's son. His name is Harvinder.
Okay.
We call him. He goes by Arvind. So we can. That's him. I think his video is off, but
Okay.
that's him.
That's
And
me.
Hey.
so we were really excited about our meeting yesterday, and I wanted to introduce you to all these guys because this is he's my Mamaji's son. So
Okay.
he's like my brother too because we work together.
Okay.
And then the other one coming is going to be Simran and Sartaj, and those are my brothers too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay. So what do you I just wanted to follow up. What do you currently do as far as
Right now, ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀਰ ਜੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਪਰਟੀ ਮੈਨੇਜਮੈਂਟ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ।
Okay.
ਔਰ ਸਾਡੇ ਤੋਂ ਕੁਝ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਕਿ ਕੈਨਬਿਸ ਰੀਟੇਲ ਲੋਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਵੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ।
Okay.
ਔਰ ਸਿਮੀ ਦੇ ਗੈਸ ਸਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ ਉਹਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਔਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਕਾਰ ਵਾਸ਼ ਵੀ ਹੈਗਾ।
Okay, okay, perfect. Okay. ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਏਰੀਆ ਚੋਂ?
ਅਸੀਂ ਵਿਨੀਪੈਗ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਾਂ ਮੈਨੀਟੋਬਾ ਚ।
Okay, great, great. So we'll just wait for the others to join. Is that okay, or?
Yeah.
We can wait, or Harvinder, if you have questions, you can start because I think there's a limited time, and I know there's lots of things to learn. I think we should just go. So let me give a little bit of background. Harvinder, we went to visit Aman yesterday, and he gave us a lot of information and shared a lot of things with us about investing. We talked about, and I'll give a brief overview. We talked about commercial real estate and also farming, a little bit of residential stuff too. But I'm going to let you and Aman talk. I know Aman had a couple of questions. We can wait until everybody comes and everybody can get and hear those questions.
Okay.
But
Also,
yeah, there's a couple more people.
Yeah, if you guys want
wait.
to record, you guys welcome to record. If you guys need to record and post it, so up to you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that, but there's so that Aman, that's my sister. That's
Hi, I'm Sashika.
Saska.
Kiala.
Good,
that's
good,
one
good.
of my other brothers. That's Sartaj, and that's his fiance also with him. Her name is Labib.
Okay, great. Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you too.
Hi. Labib and Taj, I think you guys are on mute, maybe.
Let me check so
Oh no, there you are. We can hear you.
Hey, please.
You know what? I just had to, for some reason, the link opened on my phone, but not on my two laptops, so I might end up just coming back in a minute once one of these loads, but I don't know why they're not loading. So anyway, we can continue because I don't really need my phone.
Is there anybody else? Anybody else joining us, or?
Our Simran is going to join us. That's my brother as well.
Okay.
But he's not here yet. But I think we should just get started. So I was just about to give a brief overview to Kinney and Taj and Ravinder. That we yesterday met with we met yesterday with Aman, and we discussed a lot about commercial real estate and a little bit of residential, but also a lot about farming, real estate in this region. And so specifically, I think in the region where Aman is, they live in Ceres, which is just outside of Modesto. So Aman, I'm gonna let you take it from here. I'll let you ask them questions. They can ask you whatever they have, and then.
What we're gonna talk about? We're gonna talk about commercial and also ag properties, right? For some of you guys, ag might be the right way to do. For some, will be the commercial, right? Depending on what you currently do. So I'm gonna talk about both, right? And I'm gonna talk about the differences, and also we'll talk about residential as well, right? So let's talk about residential first. What residential is about? Residential is a good property to as an investment. It's a good property to get into. But again, residentials have some ifs and buts. Commercials are way different than residentials. Me personally, I'm into residential and agriculture property. Sorry, commercial and agriculture properties. I don't do residential at this time. So when it comes to a commercial, right? Again, the biggest concern that we have is what about the tenants? What's going to happen if they just leave or if they don't pay rent, right? That's the biggest concern because we're spending big chunk of money in commercial real estate. So that's not an issue. So let's compare commercial and residential, right? With residential, we're always worried about, again, the tenants, if they leave or they're not paying, right? So this is what happens. In commercial, your tenant is a business person. He owns a business in your building, right? So for him to run his business, he has to pay you rent every month. He cannot be late on that. I mean, he could be late between the 1st and the 5th. So it doesn't mean that he's not going to pay you because you're going to vacate the tenant and he's not going to have his business anymore. And also, the tenant with your commercial property has spent money in the property, right? So he has spent money to run his business. Say if it's a restaurant, there's a kitchen, there's a stoves, there's this coolers, whatever there is, right? So he has put money into the building to run his business. So there's no way he would like to not pay rent just for no reason. When it comes to residential, right? As far as residential, we just don't know if they own a business or they don't have a job. They could just say, hey, I don't have rent this month. I can't make my payment. So, and there's nothing we can do about them, and there's laws that we have to follow, right? I mean, there's 60 days notice we have to give them before we can vacate them and bring a new guy in again, right? So we're losing 60 days month of rent. So that's not gonna work out. So that's why I'm not into residential myself yet. But again, if things change in the future, I would love to get into that as well. Commercial is the key. Again, with commercial, you have the security of your rent because the leases. You have leases. There's either a 3-year lease or a 5-year lease. Me personally, I don't like to go over 5-year lease because again, as the time changes, the index changes. When I say index, means there are expenses that go up and down within years, right? So I want to make sure that we're collecting the right amount of rent because again, when I say expenses in commercial, my electricity bills are going up, my water bills are going up, my taxes going up, right? My maintenance, landscaping is going up every year. And I want to make sure that I'm also collecting that from the tenants. So that's why I don't like to go above 3 to 5 years. That's the maximum you want to go up on your leases with the commercial tenants. So after 5 years, you can renew those leases and charge them more rent. That's the beauty about the commercial, right? Again, with the commercial rents, what you could do is, so say you have a 5-year lease with a tenant. What I do is I charge them 4.5% more every year. That's an increase that I have, right? So say if it's $1,000 rent, next year we're charging them 4.5 more on the $1,000. So because again, everything's going up, but we want to make sure we're collecting more as well because we have to make our payments, we have to pay interest and all the expenses. That's one thing about commercial. Second thing about commercial, when it comes to commercial is, you are not paying for any of the expenses. That's your property tax, that's your insurance, that's your garbage bills, water bills, your landscaping. Your tenants are paying for you. They're called triple net lease. So if you ever encounter a lease, a commercial lease, you'll probably see it says NNN, triple net lease, because they're paying for it. All you're doing is just collecting the rent, and all the rent goes into your pocket. That's 100% profit to you. That's one thing. When it comes to residential, in residential, you cannot have a triple net lease. Basically, you're paying for all the property taxes. You're paying for all the maintenance. You could get a call, just tomorrow morning saying, hey, my toilet broke down, my sink is leaking, or something happened to the floor. Now you have to come in from your pocket and make sure you pay for that. And again, it's taking out of your rent, so you're losing money in residential. Again, what happens is, say you have a 3-year lease with your residential tenant. After 3 years, when they leave, most likely they'll have a damage done to the house. They'll break, doorknobs or faucet handles. Something will be broken, right? Again, you have to come up with those repairs. In commercial, it's set up in a lease. So when you give them a vacant building, right, it's already in a condition where it's leasable to the tenant. So it's already in working condition. The AC, the carpets, the doors, the handle, whatever there is, it's already in working condition. And the lease says that once you get the building back from the tenant, it should be in the same condition. So they would have to pay for that expenses if they do any damages to that. So that's one big difference in commercial and residential I see. Any questions so far?
No, that's clear.
Okay, so that's why again, I'll give you an example of a commercial building that I just purchased, right? So we again, I don't like to buy expensive buildings. I don't like to spend millions of dollars on the buildings that I buy. So we just purchased one in November 2021. It's a small town by us. It's about 5,400 square feet building. We paid $800,000 for that. So it was a lot of homeless people were sleeping in front of the building, right? Half of the property was vacant when we purchased it. Again, when you want to see a property, when you purchase a property, you want to see what you could do with the property. Basically, you know, when I started, I always wanted to get the property that looked fancy, nice and clean, good landscaping, nice paint, so you know they're up to date, right? But again, when you buy a property that's top notch, there's no money to be made in that property, right? Basically, they're taking everything from the property. Now they're charging the top dollars to sell the property. You always want to look for a property that has some room to play with. So we bought this property. I might be able to share some pictures with you guys here soon. So it's $800,000. We bought it all cash. We did some renovations, put some new paint on it, right? Make it look nice. And so here's the secret that what we did is, we had some invoices made. Say it cost us $20,000 to renovate the building, right? Again, we were able to generate invoices that were more than that amount that we paid. So end of the day, we went to the bank and we were able to get $750,000 back from the bank, right? So end of the day, what we did is we bought the building pretty much for $50,000. We spent $800,000, went to the bank. Bank gave us a loan for $750,000. So basically, the bank refinanced for $750,000, right? Okay, the total rent that we collect is $6,700 a month, right? 100% full, $6,700 we collect. After paying all the expenses, mortgage, all the expenses, we're still taking home $2,000 from that building. Again, we spent $50,000, we're taking $2,000. So $2,000 times 24 months, that's $48,000. So basically, building is paying itself off in 2 years. After 2 years, it's 100% profit. So that's one thing that we're doing here. Again, so once we take that refinance money from the bank, we move on to the next building. So it doesn't mean that you need tons of money to get bigger in commercial real estate, right? You just gotta buy your first commercial property. Once you buy your first commercial property, I suggest buying it cash because again, you don't wanna buy millions of dollars of property. Buy something small. You could even buy something for $500,000, $400,000, whatever you could afford. Don't get big. Buy something smaller, right? Buy cash, fix it up a little bit. Make sure you have some new leases in. We did some new leases because the leases were almost to the end. They were almost going to expire. So we went in, did some new leases, make sure we were charging them. You know, as I mentioned, we were charging 4.5% increase every year, right? But the leases that were in place before, they were only charging 2% increase a year. So we went in, we did a 4.5 increase, right? And some of the leases were gross leases. They were not triple net leases. Means that the property owner pays for all the expenses, right? So we went in, we did them triple net. Now the tenant is paying for all the expenses. We're not paying for anything, right? Banks love triple net lease. If you have a triple net lease, they will love that. They will give you a loan on that property. That's easy to get a loan. So again, yeah, we use that $750,000 and now we're looking for another property, right? So same money we're using for another property. So it's not that, you know, anybody would have tons of money to go buy a property. So you're using the same money again and again. That's the whole thing about commercial, right? When it comes to residential, there's some stuff that you cannot do, right? I mean, like Sony's house, right? It's made some good money in the last 10, 11 years, but it's not gonna happen with everybody's residential property. So as far as equity, the commercial properties are the ones that build the most equity. Because if it's a home, there's only a limit you can charge them monthly rent. You cannot charge them $5,000, $6,000, $10,000, right? But with commercial, what happens is you can charge them the maximum you want to, as long as their tenants are able to pay that. And then you can have a good increase as well. Like I said, we have a 4.5% increase in ours. And again, what happens is, so when it comes to residential, you're not going to take any depreciation, right? You don't have any tax benefits to that. When it comes to commercial, there's depreciation of the property. There's tax benefits to the property.
Yeah.
Right, so there's a lot of savings. And now let's come to ag as well, right? With ag, there's 4 different profits. Number 1 is your tax benefits. Number 2 is your depreciation. Number 3 is the money you make from your crops. Number 4 is the equity that you build into your farm. So there's 4 different ways of making money in farm. So let me put it this way. When a residential house goes in the market, when it sells, it doesn't sell because of the amount of rent you're collecting. It sells with the comps, what the prices are in the area. Okay, say my neighbor's house sold for $800,000. I can probably sell mine for by the same price, or probably $10,000 more than that. It doesn't go by what it's generating. With the commercial, it's all about how much money your property is able to make, right? With ag, it's the same way. The production you have, right? How good your trees are looking. So that's the beauty about commercial and ag properties. Any questions so far? Am I too fast?
No, that's just good.
It's really good. I actually kind of want to. I'm really interested to hear about your agricultural stuff because I just think
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
something that I don't really know. Like my brother here in Winnipeg, he does a lot of this. I think you know, commercial and residential property stuff. But I mean, I'm pretty new to all of it. But I'm really interested to hear about your experience with doing agriculture.
Yeah, ag. So ag, as far as ag goes, it's very simple. It looks, complicated because there's a lot going on. People think, I'm new to ag properties. How I'm gonna make this happen, right? So I'm gonna take an example of 100 acres because that's your standard, right? Anything you add on or subtract your numbers, you generally want to go with 100 acres. And then you can always go less or more, just do your math, right? I can help you with that too. So say you own 100 acres, right? End of the day, again, ag is one of those properties where it's not a short-term goal, it's long-term. You always want to keep an ag property at least for 7 to 10 years. That's important because say you keep an ag property for the year or two, and then you might come back to me and complain, hey, I didn't make any money out of this, which could be true because with ag, it's all about Mother Nature and internationally market. Because what happens is, if there's a year there's no rain, right, or there's another year there's too much rain or windstorms, it all affects the ag properties, right? Again, what kind of production you're gonna get from your orchard, right? Or when you go talk about international economy, it also affects because, say, COVID is a good example with ag. For the last 2 years, I'm gonna talk about almonds, right? Because I sell almonds here, right? So with almonds, for the last 2 years, because of COVID, the market is no good. The price on almonds is low, right? Because there's no shipping to China, England, Europe, India, Pakistan. Those are the biggest countries that buy almonds, right? Especially when the holidays come in. Indian holidays come in, India is the biggest market for that, right? Especially with Diwali and New Year's and all this stuff, big market. So with ag, it's a prediction pretty much, right? Again, short term, you're not gonna make money. Long term is the key. Long term, you're gonna make 10% off the money you're gonna invest from your pocket. So that's your down payment, right? So usually with the good ag properties, you need at least 35% down payment. With ag properties that there might be some kind of issue in the future with the water or too much water or too less water, banks might want to look at somewhere between 40 to 45% down payment. Currently, there's a small town here near us. It's called Madera. I have 161 acres in escrow there. It's pistachios, right? So banks are about 40% down payment there. But again, the properties are way below market right now. The reason is because the almond price per pound is low. I don't know if you guys remember, I don't know how Canada was back in 2008, but I'm talking about here in California, right? So everything was cheap, right? The residential prices were low, the commercial prices were no good. So that was the right time to invest in your residential properties or any kind of property, right? People were buying left and right. People that had the knowledge at the time, right? Again, I wasn't too knowledgeable at the time too when that happened. I wish I could have done it, but again, I'm still doing my best to make that happen. So say if somebody bought a house back in 2008 for $150,000, the same house traded in the market is about $385,000. So again, people bought the house, people were collecting rent for all these years. Now they sold the house for a higher value. Same thing is happening in ag properties right now, right? Because the almond price per pound is low, and it's trickling down to a per acre price. So the farm properties are below market to above market or below market, right? Soon as you see a 385, 359 price per pound, the same land value will be up by $5,000-$6,000 per acre, and that's the time when you want to sell. So that's why I say if you buy a farm property, hold on to it, because again, $1.80 is the price right now. It's not gonna make you much money. You might break even, right, with your price per pound and the cost you have to grow those almonds. But again, how do you make money in agriculture? As a professional, like doctors, lawyers, engineers, CPAs, they're my clients. They have a big tax deduction, right? So say one of the doctors is paying $150,000 in tax a year, right? So you can save all the tax. You can pretty much wash your hands end of the day and save all your tax money. So even if you're not making any money the first or the second year from your crop, but you're saving your $150,000 tax that you're paying to the government. So that's pretty much a saving, right, to you. And number two is the depreciation. In farm properties, say you bought a property for $1 million, right? I'm just gonna use that number. You can depreciate 60% off your property. 40% you cannot. 40% is the dirt, the land. Land never depreciates because nothing's gonna happen to it, right? 60% of the land, the property will depreciate. That's your trees, that's your pump station, that's your wells, that's your, say if you have a house on the property, if you have a barn, shed, anything that's on the property, that's 60%, and that depreciates, right? So you can take the 60% depreciation from that land as well. So I was putting the numbers here together yesterday, so let me real quick put a number here, see if it works out. So say you bought a property for $1 million. $1 million divided by 27 years, because you take 27 years worth of depreciation. So you're looking at $37,000 annual depreciation you can take, right? Now, if you're planning to keep the property for long term, say you're planning to keep the property for 5 years, and you feel like, you know what, this year you have, you made a lot of money, right? I mean, you need to show some depreciations or tax deductions. So $37,000 times 5, that's $185,000. You can take that depreciation for 5 years within the second year, because the first year you cannot take a depreciation. It has to be at least 2 years to take a depreciation. So you can take it all within 5 years, but keep in mind, now if you sell your property the third year, you're gonna have to pay back the 2 year worth of depreciation back to the government. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. So depreciation is huge. I mean, even the first 2-3 years you don't make any money from your crop, that's fine. You're gonna save money from your tax. You're gonna save money from your depreciation, and at the same time, you're building your equity. Because in farmland, as I remember, from the last 8-10 years, the property used to be at $16,000, $17,000, $18,000 an acre. Now the same properties are going for $35,000, $40,000 an acre, and I'm pretty sure soon as we see the almond price go up, which is gonna happen, because I was with the almond board meeting last week. Right now it's 185, but I go back 3 years from now, almonds were selling for 285, 289, somewhere there, right? Because of COVID, everything slowed down. Now the price is about 185, right? So as soon as the price goes back to 285, 279, whatever the price is, right? We're gonna see the same land that's $36,000, $37,000 per acre today. It's gonna be somewhere between $42,000, $45,000. Recently, there's a property that sold in my area at $48,000 per acre. That's 100 acres, and sold within a week. So it goes quick. So that's the beauty about farming. Like I said, I specialize in commercial and farming properties. That's the main thing. Let's also.
Hello?
I'm gonna have some questions about that. So you said like, the you were describing like your farm as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
You said at this time per acre, those farms, and we know that that's a long-term gain.
Mm-hmm.
You said that at this time they're going for like about $40,000.
Depending, yeah. So because again, here's the thing. I'm pretty sure you guys look up on LoopNet and Zillow and all that stuff too, right? Again, everybody likes to search and see what's going on in the market, right? So you'll probably see properties that are listed in the market for 22,000, 25,000, right? So there's an issue with those properties. I'll be very honest to you. Especially when you go to above like Sacramento, Yuba City, some of these areas, the water tables are high, right? When the water tables are high, there's a salt issue, right? There's a salt that comes up from the ground. So when the salt comes up from the ground, the trees will look fine for a couple of years, but as the trees are getting bigger, the roots are going down the ground, the tree's gonna start be more like pale yellow. So once the trees start to be yellow, pale, your tree's gonna die one day, and it's gonna be no value. So that's why you want to make sure you're in the right area when you buy your property. In our areas, the properties are going somewhere between 34,000 to 40,000, or even above that too. But again, the soil, the water, there's no issues. And again, now we're talking about Sacramento, Yuba City, those areas, right? The prices are low. When it comes to the Central California, that's our area. The prices are, it's like I said, $40,000. But now, when you go to Fresno or Bakersfield area, you'll probably see the prices be low again. Like I said, I mentioned I'm selling 160 acres. It's $10,000, $10,500 per acre, right? That seems really low. That's like an open ground
Where is
price.
that, Dylan? Where is that?
That's in Madera.
Fresno.
Madera.
Oh, Madera.
Yeah.
That's a huge difference.
That's a huge difference. Now I'll tell you the difference. Here's the thing. Those properties have those reservoirs built up, right? The water table is 700 feet deep, right? They're only pumping about 50 gallons a minute. 15 gallons a minute is not enough for the property, right? So you have to pump all the water to the reservoirs, and from the reservoirs, they pressurize those pumps and irrigate the fields. So that's expensive, right? Anybody that's a neighbor, say if I own a property next door to one of those properties, I'll probably buy that property because it's just next door to me, and I can use my wells and stuff if I have extra wells on my property. But for an investor, like a doctors, lawyers, engineers, CPAs, you don't want to get into that stuff because it's a leech pretty much. It's gonna take away all your savings. That's the huge thing. So you always want to make sure you spend the right money you spend extra money now, then you're suffering in the future. You don't want to do that. Any questions?
No.
I have a question. You had mentioned even yesterday what example you gave, the property you bought for $800K.
Yeah.
And you were able to, do upgrades and refinance from bank, you got $70K back from the bank. So how long was that from investing $800K and getting $70K back from the bank?
So we bought the property in October 2021. November 2021, I'm sorry. Because my meeting says it's going to expire in 10 minutes. I might have to come back again and add on after 10 minutes again, okay? So I'll continue. So we bought the property in November 2021. We started our renovations in January. We did the paint, we did the fixed up bit of the parking lot, landscaping, just glow up the property, make it look nice. And then we went to the bank. Just last month, the money came to the bank. So it takes about 4 or 5 months to back and forth with the bank, but last month the money came in the bank. So within a year, I would say it all happens.
No, it's yes or no.
Yeah. So again, the reason why I say we put all cash instead of going to the bank getting a loan, because once we put all cash, there's no history to the property left now, right? Now we can put as much expenses we want to. Like I said, we mentioned $238,000 additional expenses that we put into the property, which never happened, right? But we're able to get money for that too from the bank. Again, we don't have to buy that size property. It could be a smaller property too. It could be 300,000 for whatever we can afford. It could be that size too, right? Again, duplexes, right? Fourplexes. That's a good opportunity as well. So those are basically, in a way, they're also considered residential and also commercial when it comes to duplexes or fourplexes, right? And the reason is because, again, residential, it's considered because now you have that headache with your residential tenants. You're always, going knocking on the doors trying to get this rent, right? But as far as your depreciations and tax benefits, there's a lot of tax benefits in duplexes, fourplexes as well. But with commercial, to date, we never had an issue with the tenants, and I don't think this is going to be an issue because those tenants are business people. They're renting a place to do business there. And when they're doing business, they want to make sure they pay their rent on time because they have investments, they have spent money into that, and they don't want to be kicked out within 60 days because of their 1 month rent. And also with the rent, when we write up a lease, we also have a deposit from them. So that could also be used as a rent in case they don't pay it for that month. We could use that as a rent. With the residential, what happens is I know we get a deposit for residentials as well, but again, you can only utilize those for the faucets or the toilet seats, whatever the break in the house, they could be used only for that. So you cannot use that as a rent for them. In commercial, you could use that as a rent. And then I think he joined us late, but I was talking about the commercial properties that when you sign up a lease, the lease states that you're responsible for everything in the unit. That's from your AC to your roof leaks to your carpets to whatever happens to that property, to glass break, you're responsible for that. So the tenant pays for everything. The property owner, the landlord, does not pay for that, right? Even for the monthly expenses, the tenant pays for that. So the landlord is basically taking their monthly check and depositing into their account. You'll get called once in a while here and there, hey, somebody's parking their car in front of my unit, my shop. Can we put a sign out there saying 20-minute parking and all that? That happens, and that's fine. Again, it's not like, I'll be getting calls every month for that. Maybe once a year, somebody will call, hey, there's a homeless guy sleeping behind the building. What can you do about it? So basically, it's simple stuff. You tell them, hey, get them out there and I'll make sure that nobody comes in next time. So simple stuff like that. I love commercial. I'll be very honest. I love commercial and ag. That's what I do. Residential, I haven't invested in residential yet, but again, soon, as we talked yesterday too, I'm talking to Anand, I will be going to the foreclosures, and I want to learn more of those foreclosures and see how those foreclosures work. Not saying that I want to buy them, but at least I want to learn them.
How do you find like you said, certain areas are good for investing and certain aren't? Like, where do you, if you're not going on LoopNet, different things, like where do you find these opportunities?
So with our system, what we have is, what I'll do is once we're done the meeting, I'll have all of you guys send me your email. And then every week, I hope I'm not bugging you with you guys so many emails, because what I'll be doing is I'll send you guys emails every week, maybe twice a week, with a bunch of properties, right? Say if it's commercial or ag, whatever you guys are looking for, right? And some of those properties could be good properties, some of those might not even make sense to you. So what we'll do is, if it's not making sense to you, if it's not working out, you can just disregard that email. And if it's something that seems like it's interesting, give me a call. And also what I'll do is I'll pinpoint exactly what size properties we're looking for and what kind of properties are we looking for, right? As far as investment comes in, when it comes to ag, like I said, I know California, right? I know some of the New Mexico area too, but California is where I want to be at with ag. With California, I want to be in the Central Valley, and that's your Tracy area, your Manteca, your Modesto, Ceres, Ripon, Waterford, Livingston, these areas, because there's no soil issues, there's no water issues here, right? Again, as we talk about the almonds, right? California produces 80% of the world's almonds. 80% of the world, right? Yeah. So almond is never gonna go away. There's so many uses with almonds. There's almond butter, there's almond flour, almond milk. There's so many uses with almonds, right? It's never gonna go away. As far as pistachios comes in, or walnuts, I'm a little iffy about that stuff, because pistachios, there's thousands of acres being planted in Iran. So pistachio is originally from Iran, right? So there's thousands of acres being produced there. So uh, there's another market for that too. In case we can't give them the right price, they might go buy from Iran, right? When it comes to walnuts, China has thousands of acres of walnuts as well. But in California, the weather is just so good that nobody else is able to produce almonds as California because in California it does not rain in the summertime, right? And we don't want that rain in the summertime when we have that almond or that flower there, right? In the wintertime, no problem. We want the rain as much it rains. That's good for almonds. So that's the beauty about California almonds. Even if you go to Costco or you go to the big box stores, you grab a bag of almonds. I'm pretty sure it'll say California almonds, right? That's why. The 20% of almonds, right? I said 80% in California. 20% is produced in Australia, but they're just produced for that country. They don't, ship to other countries because they don't have enough almonds. Again, the quality is not there for them. Yeah, because they try their best to produce them, but it's not the right thing for them to do. Bananas are number one in Australia. They do good with those over there. Yeah, and then out of the 80% in California, 80% of that is produced in the Central Valley. So the first almond tree that was planted in California was in Ripon, California. That's about 30 minutes from me. So almonds is the best thing to get into. Like I said, right now the almond price is not good, but it's not that it's gonna stay like that. It's only for a few more months. Soon as we have this market flowing again, China starts buying, Europe starts buying, India starts buying, it's gonna be big again. So that's the whole thing. Yeah. Like I said, there are big farmers in California, big almond farmers. I mentioned this to Sony yesterday. There's a family called Sandhu Brothers. They have about 60,000 acres in California. 60,000, that's huge. They're the biggest farmers in California, right? And I'm sure all of us heard about Paramount Films. Have you guys heard of that?
Yeah.
Right? So Paramount Films is from Hollywood, right? Their primary business is movies, right? Just to save their tax, they bought farms. Now they have 150,000 acres of farms. In California, they produce, pomegranate, they produce oranges, they produce pistachios, almonds. And I'm pretty sure when you go to the store, you probably picked up a bag called Wonderful Pistachios.
Yeah.
Like a black and green package, right? That's them. They own the company. They own Fiji Water. So again, farming, nobody wants to get into farming because you don't want to be, all sweaty and muggy all day long, but it's because of tax benefits. Right? And as far as farming, now the question is, who's going to farm for me, right? That's the question.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you that. I think when we think of farming and getting into agriculture, we think, So
Yeah,
can you
that's
tell
the
us a little
question.
more about how that works?
So there's a farm management, right? Just like, there's a commercial management and people manage your commercial properties, right? There's a farm management. There's companies out there that manage your farms, right? And basically what they do is they do it all. They make all the calls, whatever needs to be done, they do it. Keep in mind with commercial and ag, there's one difference. In commercial, once you spend your money, oops. Can you guys hear me? what's up, man?
What do you recommend?
Can you guys hear me again?
We just had to retweet on the same link, right?
Yeah. So do you want to go ahead and share that link with the others?
I don't think everyone knows that.
I just told them.
I just emailed you that again.
Okay, same link, right?
I'm not sure if the same one, but it's just another one that came
I
in.
just clicked on the same link actually.
Oh, you did? Okay. Do you want to give them a call and see if they could add on to the same one?
Yeah, I told them, so they should be on, they should join within a few minutes.
Okay, okay. You guys have a day off today?
Yes, today's off.
Okay, good.
It
good.
looks like you're still working, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it always goes on, right? With the 7 days a week, never stops.
I know that
Yeah.
work is great.
And that's fine. I like to do this.
This should be on in a minute, just a minute.
Okay.
You have some questions? Yeah, they just got my message, so they should all try to be.
Okay, okay. Give me a minute, okay? There you go. We're in there.
Hi, okay. Yeah, one of them back.
All right.
Yesterday when we were leaving, Amit, you were mentioning a particular property in Calusa, which I know is close to Yuba City, or you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
yesterday I really liked how you gave those specific examples. Even like for the commercial real estate, the invoicing. I think this was something that we were not aware of before. Kind of helped us understand better how quickly those commercial properties can become profitable.
It could.
Versus I used to always think you buy it and then you have to kind of sit with it for so many years because its value doesn't increase that quickly. But yesterday was a really good insight for us because we didn't know that is a way to make that value go up much faster.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if Taji, right now Taj is on, I don't see the other guys yet, but I don't know if he understands that or understood what that was.
Yeah, I can, once we get everybody on there, do you want me to talk about it now or once we get everybody on there?
Yeah, maybe I'll get a couple of them back on and then, so I think one of the, things was simply that we, at least Anand and I, were always under the impression that you buy a commercial property and then you're sitting with it for a couple of years at least, maybe even longer because it takes that long to appreciate in value, but we didn't realize that when you inflate that kind of, show like higher expense, are able to show that kind of invoicing, then you're able to get that loan back. I guess I'm a little bit confused about one part of it. Once you get that loan back from the bank, it's still a loan, right? So that's still money that you owe the bank.
It's it's a loan you get from the bank, and it's there's no tax on that.
Oh, it's a tax-free loan.
It's a tax-free loan, yeah. I think we're missing one more person.
How is it tax-free loan, Amit?
So when you get money from the bank, right, loan is never taxed. So say, again, let's talk about the same property, right? We bought the property for 8, right? We showed some expenses to the bank, right? Now the bank, so basically the property was appraised about $1 million from the bank, right? So the bank gave us 75% loan to value. So 75% or whatever the property is worth, we got it back from the bank. So the bank keeps 25% because the bank needs some down payment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so $750,000 that came to my bank account from the bank is tax free, right? That's refinancing from the bank. So we got the money back from the bank. There's no tax on it. That's how it works. But now, say you bought a property for $800,000 and now you want to put it back on the market for $1 million, right? So the $200,000 that you're gonna gain, it's gonna be taxed. Or you go back within 45 days and you do a 1031 exchange. Are you guys aware what 1031 exchange?
No.
Okay, so 1031 exchange is basically you have to buy a like property. So if you bought a commercial property, right? Now you made money. You bought it for 8. You sold it for $1 million. You made $200,000. Either you go buy a like property within 45 days, right? Or you have to pay tax on the gain, the $200,000 you made. That's the way it is, right? That's the way the government wants it, right? The other way is, what we did is, you bought the property for 8. It got valued at $1 million because we showed expenses, invoices. We go to the bank. Bank gave us $750,000 loan to value, right? Now that $750,000 is sitting in my bank, and there's no tax on that. Money from the bank, loan money, you don't have to pay tax on. There's no tax on loan money. That's tax free.
I still don't understand that. You don't pay any tax on loan. Oh, sorry, no tax, but interest. Sorry, that's what I meant.
You gotta pay interest. You have to pay interest. You have to pay interest, but again, now as we were saying, we're collecting $6,700 a month, right? When it was paid off, when we paid from our pocket, right? Now, after paying interest, after paying the bank principal, right, our expenses and whatever expenses we have to the property, we're still making about $2,000 take home profit with the bank's money, right? Now, the point where I was coming to is the $2,000 times 24 months, that's 2 years, right? That's $48,000. So within 2 years, we're paying off that $50,000, the $40,000, whatever you want to call that, right? So basically, after 2 years, we haven't put any money to the property, and we're collecting $2,000 for many, many years to come. Does it make sense?
Right. Makes sense.
Right? So basically, that's how these guys do. There's a few people that I follow. There's a guy from LA, his name is Manny Koshman. He started when he was 17, right? And that's what he does. It doesn't mean that everybody has tons of money to invest. You just have to know, say you have this chunk of money, keep on using the same money again and again, right? It's easy to do, but it just feels like it's stressful and all the stuff. It's not. It just once you learn the process, it's easy, and it's easy process. If I could do it, anybody could do that.
Yeah, I think that's the main sort of the concern, right? Because if you're not obviously involved in that kind of stuff, your first purchase or your first sort of
first purchase, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
First make, but yeah, I guess Sony was mentioning something in Calusa. I'm not too far from Calusa. I'm in Chico, California.
Mm-hmm. So again, I don't want to scare you off the ag properties again when I mention, if you go to Yuba City or Sacramento, the properties are no good. Right. It doesn't mean that all properties are no good. There are properties that are good as well, right? So there's a property in Calusa. So listen to this one. This is important, right? There's a property in Calusa. It's 128 acres, right? It has about 7 more years left for its lifespan, the trees. Okay, they're older trees, not looking nice, a lot of weeds, plants, not been taken care of. Again, You don't want to buy a property that's spotless. You're not gonna have any profit. There's not gonna be no money made in that, right? So there's this property, 120 acres, a lot of weeds, looking ugly. It has about 7 more years lifespan left on it. What I was explaining Sony yesterday was, if the property could be purchased, right? You can depreciate that property for 7 years. You can take depreciations for 7 years, right? Okay. After 7 years, you have to replant those trees. So all the depreciation that you took out for the 7 years, you can use that money to replant that orchard again, right? Meanwhile, you can still save your tax because it's all about tax. You're gonna make your money from tax. In this orchard, you're not gonna make any money from the crop because there's not much crop on it. It's older trees. So every year, save your tax, kind of wash away your hands with it. Tax is done. Take your depreciation for the 7 years. After 7 years, replant that orchard with that money, right? Today, that orchard is gonna sell for about $33,000, right? 7 years from now, once you replant, that orchard is somewhere about $42,000. You're not putting money from your pocket to replant. You're using the depreciation money to replant, right? But again, you have to wait 7 years. It could be 5 years, whenever you feel like. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And right now, that one is 120 acres. You said?
128 acres also has a small house in there.
How much?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
How much are they selling it for? You said 30.
About 32,000 is where it's gonna sell. That's what he wants. It was listed at 35 before, but 32 is where it's gonna end up being.
1,000 per acre, right?
Per acre, yeah. And I think we can also do a seller financing on this property, where the seller will finance for you. But again, we would have to come with a big down payment.
What kind of down payment would this kind of property require?
So let me see. So.
Like 35%, like you were saying yesterday?
Well, if you go with the bank, it's going to be 35, but when it's seller financing, it's probably a bit more. So say if it's 32,000 an acre times 128, so we're looking about $4.1 million property here, right? So let's say it's 40% times 4.1. Yeah, he might want at least $1.5 million for that. And then he will finance the property for as many years you want. So that's where it's going to be at.
What is seller financing? Like, why would you do that versus a bank?
It depends how you want it, because what happens is that sometimes it's either your monthly income's not enough, right? Or something happens to your credit, or you don't have enough assets, right? So what happens is banks, what they require is you would need 35% down, right? But plus the bank's gonna see, okay, what's your liquid cash? How much you have in your bank? To say you have to put fertilizer, water, expenses for the property, right? Where is that gonna come from? They want to see that money as well. But as we know, okay, we have all these good jobs. We can probably provide that agriculture costs from our pocket as it's needed. But the banks don't look at it that way. Bank needs to see that in your account.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, when we started off, somehow the money that we had, that's all we had, and we put a down payment. And with our liquor store business, right, we were able to use that money every month to provide for the expenses, and it worked out pretty good. Yeah, but now banks, they actually want to see that liquid cash in your bank. So that's why people would rather want to do a seller financing. And it's also the cost to go through a bank is a lot more for the paperwork, right? Your escrow and all that. You would still have escrow. It's going to go through escrow. But now when you do a seller financing, the cost to do that transaction is a lot less.
What is seller? I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
I mean, not seller financing.
Oh, seller.
Yeah.
So the person who is selling the property to you, they will finance the property.
They basically act like a bank.
Act like a bank, yeah, and they will charge about 5.5% interest on that. That's standard. That's what the banks will charge, and they will probably do the same as well. And it doesn't take long time to close escrow. It just takes probably 2 weeks, 3 weeks, as long as we're all agreeing on the terms.
So, I mean, for a group like us, right, yesterday when we were leaving on the night, you mentioned about how you're kind of, because we told you like the capacity for down payment, right? Let's just come down to talking about we're interested in getting into something, this is the group that we have. If we were to go into something together, I think that we would have a lot more power, but I'm not sure if that's possible. But like on an individual, I'm a per cases basis here. Like for example, Anand and I were talking yesterday on the way home too. I know you mentioned that you're going to send properties via email and we can take a look at them. So I guess we have to look at those properties from the lens of what can we put as a down payment, and then think about whether we want to go into agriculture or whether we want to go to commercial. So when you start sending us, like Anand and I were talking yesterday, that what kind of down payment are we able to pull together?
So let me mention before we go more further. Let me mention
what did you say?
let me mention the difference between ag and commercial. Okay, so they're both good, right? But the difference between ag and commercial is when you buy a commercial property, right? You're not putting more money into it every month to make money, right? With ag property, you have to spend money to make money because you have to pay for the fertilizers, you have to pay for the water bills, you have to pay for the electricity bills, right? To make money. That's when the production will come in, and that's when the production comes in once a year. It's not every month. You get paid once a year, but it's a big fat check. Big check comes in, right? With commercial, you're not putting money into it every month, but you're getting paid monthly. You see the difference, right? Okay.
The question that she's trying to ask is basically how do we narrow it down to the one property that we will end up buying? That is the question. How do we kind of essentially finalize the property?
How do we finalize the property?
How do we select a property to invest in? Like wow.
Like you're gonna send the email, but I have no knowledge in this topic. How am I going to know? Okay, this property is suitable.
I will help you guys with that. Yeah, but the first thing you have to make in mind is it commercial or is it ag? That's the first thing, right? We have to make sure.
So ideally speaking, I would like to own a lot of farms in California.
Yeah. So as coming to farm now, you know the Zoom call, you know, we were not able to talk about the management, right? So let's talk about management, how the farms get managed, right? So basically, there's farm managers. Again, if you don't want to come into your farm, you don't have to, right? Eventually, you'll have to go once a month to see what's going on, but the farm managers will take care of your farm, and they will send you reports. So this is how it works. We'll do a contract with the fertilizer company, right? And they will love to, you know, they will give you a call once they know that you purchased the property. They will call you. In fact, I'll help you guys with one of the companies that I know. They're pretty known out there. So we'll sign up a contract for the fertilizer company, and now they will send out their PCA, right? In India, they call them ag doctors, right? But here, they call them PCA, right? So they will come to your farm once a week with no cost to you, and they will take samples, soil samples, leaf samples, and they will know what's going on with your farm, why the trees are going yellow, or what's the deal with the tree, right? Any new disease coming into the farm, and they will email you, okay, you know what, this is what we need to put onto the orchard, this is the new fertilizer or the new chemicals. We don't have to figure out what's going on with the tree. They will do it for us. They will come out every week to you, to your farm, and they'll send you an email, right? And after that, it's our choice. Say the bill's $10,000. I'm just saying, right? Now we feel like, you know what, 10,000 is too much. I don't want to spend that much money on my farm this year for this certain disease, right? We can tell them, you know what, cut down the cost to $7,000. I am comfortable spending $7,000. So he'll cut down the chemicals. It doesn't mean that when he cut down the chemicals, we're gonna be suffering with the disease. We will still be okay, but again, you know, you always want to go with the recommendation, whatever they recommend, because they've been in the business for many years. They know what's going on. So that's one thing. So again, they will come in and they'll tell you what to put on, and now the farm manager is responsible to put that on. The farm manager will use their tractors, their sprayers, whatever it needs to do to put the chemical on the trees. So basically, they'll send you a bill end of the month, an invoice. This is what it cost you, and you just basically write them a check. You don't have to be out there, but again, you know, I like to go there once a month just to check on things, see how things are. Again, it kind of relieves stress. So that's another thing. Any questions?
Thank you for explaining that. I mean, because I think often when we think about farming, we think, okay, I see we have to get out there and start farming now.
You don't have to be
and none of
there,
us have the capacity to do that, yeah.
Yeah.
But I wanted to, so Anand and I did talk, and we felt that considering the amount of money that we could put in, we would be better suited, like you also recommended, for commercial property, something small to start, like a starter one. So at least for us, I would like us to, I would like you to do some more of the, I don't know, work, I guess, to figure out which ones are better suited for us. And Anand will work with you on what our buying power is.
Let me tell you guys more about. I feel personally, for you guys buying your first property, probably commercial, right? I know we all want to get into farm because farm seems fun and all that good stuff, right? But there's more to farm too, because again, you're gonna get tired seeing those bills before you get any money back from your crop. You'll see those fertilizer bills, those water bills, those electricity bills. And I don't want you to be all fed up, I'm not getting any money out of this, but I'm spending money into the farm, right? So that might not be good. So commercial property should be a good one. First commercial property, and then once you have experience into commercial, you might want to go into ag properties. That's my suggestion. I mean, I'm being very honest to you. That's the right way to get into it.
So yeah, thank you for that. And when we talked yesterday, Anand and I talked about this on the way home, and we are going to figure out, basically Anand will work with you in figuring out our buying power, and we would like you to look for something, already do the homework. So I know you're going to send the email, but I'd like you to become way more selective in what you send us, because we're very interested. We have some buying power, but we don't know exactly what that is right now.
Now,
I think Anand will work with you.
sorry, let me ask you a question. Do you guys want to get into more like duplex, fourplexes, or like strictly commercial?
No, pure commercial.
Commercial, like, right, actually, like the stuff that we have like hair salons,
Yeah.
right? Like hair salons, nail salons, restaurants, that kind of stuff, right?
Commercial real estate, right? That's not a commercial business.
No, that's the kind of tenants you want in there, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like the kind of thing that you showed us, I'm not sure if you can share that the property that you were kind of sharing, that the man from Fresno, he sold his farm and then he bought this
Yeah,
commercial
let me
real
see.
estate.
I'm not too good with
the.
I'm not too good with Zoom stuff, so let me see if I could share this stuff with you guys here.
Sure. And if not, that's okay too. Just the
Yeah,
example.
I'll probably email you guys. Yeah, I'll probably email you guys all that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, let
But
me.
that kind of a commercial property, something smaller that was
Smaller,
way out of our budget, I think.
Let me go ahead and email you guys that brochure so you can probably go through that. Again, my job is to make sure we get the right property, and the cap rate is important, that because if you don't have the right cap rate, we're not, do you guys understand the cap rate?
No.
So the cap rate basically means the percentage of profit you're getting out of your property annually, right? Say, let me give you an example. Say you buy something for $10, right? And you want to make at least 25% profit on that. So that's $10 and plus 25 cents on top of that. So that's 12 something, right? So that's what
Cap rate is a fancy word for rate of return.
rate of return. There you go. Yeah. So basically, cap rate is basically how much you get out of your property every year, right? So just want to make sure that you guys, that cap rates are not huge in commercial. It's not something you will think like you spend $1 million and we're getting 10% of that. So it's probably more going to be over into like 6.5, 7%. So I'll give an example. I sold a property here in Madeira. The property, it's at $4.3 million. I'll send you guys an email with the brochure too, okay? So the property sold at $4.3 million. The guy put in $1.9 million down payment, and his annual net operating income after all expenses, he's taking home $300,000 every year. So that's what's, NOI, net operating income. So that's about 7% cap rate. So he's taking 7% home. So that's my job, to make sure we have the right cap rates. We get you guys the right cap rates. Again, I was talking to Sony yesterday. Selling or working with you guys, it's more responsibility, because it's not just a client. You're more a family, so I have to make sure, Uncle T's and I, running after me after so for selling the wrong property. Right?
Yeah.
Right. So that's my goal.
And then, these commercial properties, like, let's just say we're looking at a small one, kind of like the one that you showed us that you bought it $800,000 cash. Maybe something smaller than that even, right?
Yeah,
Like one or
yeah.
two tenants. Right? Something something like that. 800 maybe might even be doable.
Is that we're looking at cash or with the bank financing?
With financing.
Bank
But
financing.
again, I'm still have to work out all the details here, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a rough estimate.
Okay, yeah, no problem. I can put some stuff together. What I'll do is I'll be sending you properties again between that range, so somewhere between $5 to $800,000. Keep one more thing in mind, right? Some of the properties might not be in the best areas, so that's something that we look at. Okay, we want everything fancy, top of the line. It's not gonna happen with that price range. But again, you're not gonna go live there, right? So it's all about how much income it's producing to you a month. Am I right? Right? So that's what you want to look at. You want to make sure
Yeah, we're
you're
not gonna go live there.
We're
Yeah,
not
I
gonna go
think
live
for
there.
me, I think I have had that issue in the past where I look at something and I'm like, oh, this doesn't look pretty.
Yeah,
And
you
then
don't
I
wanna
like
you don't wanna take it too serious to yourself. It doesn't have to be pretty. It has to generate income. That's what it's about. It has to make you income, right? Again, some of the properties might be in the bad areas. You might see some graffiti on the walls here and there, but again, they're producing income. That's what it's about. And then slowly, eventually, once we start, upscaling, we can always go to the better areas. That's our goal. And keep in mind, anytime you find a fancier area or everything's all top notch, there's not the cap rates are low, so there's not much money to be made in those areas, right? So, for instance, say Starbucks, you buy a building that has Starbucks, you're only taking home 4%. There's not much to be taken home because those companies don't pay. It seems like they're paying a $12,000 rent, right? But your building is also costing you $4 million. So, end of the day, you're not taking much home because your payment's going to be big too. So you want to make sure the building is going to cost you an average, but you're also taking home a good chunk of money. That's what commercial properties are about. So
You get free coffee?
what's that? What was that?
I said, do you get free coffee if you have a building with Starbucks?
Well, I don't think so. They'll give you free coffee because they're pretty strict about what they do, right?
Right?
I think it's we rather charge them more rent than getting free coffee because free coffee is not we can drink every day.
Yeah, it's for the more rent, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what it's about. Again, there's another thing what we could do is there's buildings out there. They're vacant buildings, right? But again, we know that if we buy this building, we can bring in tenants, and once we buy vacant buildings, they're low in price. They're easy to find. They're low in price. But now once we bring in tenants, they're worth more. Now we can go to the bank and get a loan on it. That's what we do. That's what we did, right? You seen our property in Ceres, the big shopping center, right? So it was 50% or more than that vacant when we purchased. Brought in tenants, went to the bank, got a loan on it, refinanced, tax free. Yeah, it's easy. It's not hard. Again, it's just something we have to look into it, and once we get into it, it's a piece of cake. You might not even need me after that. Once you buy your first property, you'll just go correct and buy your own, right?
No, I think we'll need to throughout that process.
Yeah, it's easy. Any questions on this so far?
Can I ask, is there like a specific tax person that you work with? Is a lot of this related to how you file your taxes and stuff?
It depends. Yes, yeah. So I don't work with a CPA. I work with just a bookkeeper, right? And I've been my dad's been with him for 30 years almost now, right? Basically, what do you tell her? She does it for you. It's not like you have to pay this, you have to go this way. It's the way you want it, right? And she works out the numbers. And that's the best way, I believe. It's in business. Again, with the.
But I guess I've had a similar question to Rabib as well because it's very apparent that you know a lot about and are very knowledgeable about these kind of tax secrets, you can say. So I guess I have the same question. Like when investing in a property like this, there has to be the right kind of person who's guiding the whole time that next right? Like you said, for example, at some point, within 45 days when you take the money out, you better invest in another property. All these kind of things, they have to be known, and I would think that somebody has to be there to tell us.
Yeah, that's as far as the real estate. I mean, I will be telling you all that. So it's all written on a paper. It's not something that we just come up our mind and think about in the next 30 days we're gonna do this or 45 days. So there are laws. We have to follow the laws, California state laws, right? So again, when you sell a property, right? If you want to do a 1031 exchange, that's the code, right? Within 45 days, you have to find a property. Within 45 days, you have to basically select up to 3 properties. You select those 3 properties and you post them with the exchange company, right? Hey, I'm looking at these 3 properties and I want to see what works best for me, right? And then once you find the property, you say, okay, this is the property you want to buy, then you have 6 months to close that property. I'll explain to you guys that once we get more into that detail. That's further on.
All right.
Yeah. But now...
Listen, I really appreciate your time. I think the information you offered is I think the information you've given is really valuable, and I think, you know, we sort of live in this, like I live in a very medical world, and so it's a lot of information, but very useful. So I'd like to sort of obviously go back to these guys and see where we're at, but I really appreciate the time you've taken out on a weekend to give us.
No, I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
with
thank you,
with
Aman.
your
That was
with
very
being
nice of you.
thank you.
It was really nice to see you too after a long time.
Yeah, with being you know, your professional careers, I'm pretty sure you guys have high taxes, and then there's not much you can deduct, right? You have to pretty much show all
I
that.
wanted to actually mention that in the group. It's one thing that really frustrated me last year. We paid like a crazy amount of tax last year, and it was very frustrating. So I was trying that with Aman too, that
So
I'm not doing this again.
so
whatever
basically
it takes,
So basically, I'm sorry I'm cutting you off. So basically, that amount that you paid last year, it's not gonna benefit you at all, right? It's just going out of your pocket and it's gone, right?
It's just gone.
So only reason I would pay that amount of taxes if I'm buying or getting a loan from a bank, right? So if you're not getting any loans from the bank currently, it's gonna turn off here again. If you're not getting any loans from the bank, or you know, not doing anything with your taxes, there's no benefit to pay that amount of tax.
Right.
Right? I mean, we get loans here and there. We still, you know, work out with the tax. Donald Trump doesn't pay any tax, so why should we? Right? Right? So,
Did you guys hear him, I guess, burying his wife at his golf course? So now it's technically a cemetery, so he's actually getting huge tax benefits from that.
yeah. So again, in the end of the day, if you don't save any of our savings, our money that we make every month, if you just save on our tax, we're good to go. It's all about the tax.
All about tax.
Yeah, it's all about the tax. Yeah, you gotta save your tax and depreciation.
I'll send you, if you guys are, I don't know who wants, I can send I'll maybe make, Aman doesn't have, he's not using WhatsApp on this particular phone of his right now.
Yeah, this one's my
I can
temporary.
send you everybody's email address. Whoever wants to share their email with you, I'll send it to you too.
Yeah, go ahead, send me everybody's name and email, you know, so I know whose email it's, right? And then I'll put them in my system. And then also at the same time with the name, email, if you could also share what size property you're looking for from this amount to this amount, right? So I can make sure I have those specific properties set up for you.
Okay.
And which
and maybe
areas?
I'll just send it to you I'll send you an email and I'll keep everybody copied so that they can have your email and discuss with you personally as well.
Sure. And then like I said, if ever you guys have any questions, real estate or like I said, insurance, I'm an insurance broker as well, right? I would like to see all of you guys' insurance too. Maybe I can beat your guys' current rates. So
Yeah, that's true. Tajin Naveep, Aman also does his own insurance. So since you guys are local, you can talk with him. He has he's actually doing construction. In the next 2 years, he's starting his own brokerage. And he's involved in home construction as well. In any case, he's involved in tons of things. You can always call him and email him on your own.
Any from you guys need, yeah. Again, like I said, we'll be doing loans, hard money loans to the next 2 years, so we're working on that as well. But right now, it's all about real estate and insurance. I can beat anybody's rates in insurance.
Yeah, and then I think sometimes some of my siblings might forget, but just to reference exactly how we're related. So Mama Shingara's sister is Amar's dadi.
Right.
Right? So Bikar uncle is Mama Shingara's nephew. And this is his Bikar uncle's son. So anyways, I just wanted to reference again.
Well, when you guys in the area stop by, we'll have lunch, dinner. We'll get together again.
That would be
It's
great.
always fun to have you guys here.
Thank you, Aman.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you for your time. Like I said, if there is any questions with the real estate or any needs, feel free to give me a call. And then, Sony, please share my email with everybody and also have them share theirs too, okay? because I want to make sure I send that stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any questions, anybody?
No, we're good, I think.
All right.
Thanks, Simon. Thank you.
Okay.
Ivan says thank you as well.
Yeah. All right. Thank you
Bye,
guys.
thanks.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye, Anna.
Bye. Alrighty. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.